It was past midnight when the office lights began to hum louder than my heartbeat. Everyone else had gone home hours ago, but my screen still glowed with red deadlines. I kept working another line of code, another email, another promise I didn't remember making. The message came through at 12:47. Chloe, hey sis, rent's late again. Can you spot me this month? Promise I'll pay you back. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I wanted to type no, but that word had never survived long around my family. I typed sure instead, then pressed send. My chest tightened the moment I did. The world blurred. My coffee mug slipped from my hand, shattering against the tile. A streak of pain shot down my left arm, sharp and electric. The air felt too thick to swallow. I tried standing, but my knees folded. The next thing I heard was the sound of my own breath dragging across the floor. When I opened my eyes again, someone was shouting my name. Ms. Marlin, can you hear me? Fluorescent lights flickered overhead. Paramedics leaned over me, their voices flat but urgent. She's still conscious, one said. Possible cardiac event. They lifted me onto a stretcher. My phone buzzed somewhere under the desk, still lighting up with work notifications. Do you want us to call anyone? The woman asked. My parents, I whispered. Ryan and Tara Marlin. She nodded, typing into her tablet. We'll let them know you're being transported to Mercy General. The ambulance doors slammed shut. Sirens rose in the distance, sharp and lonely. Inside, the medic adjusted the oxygen mask. Family nearby. 2 sisters, Chloe and Maya. Anyone we should contact? I hesitated. The question hurt more than the chest pressure. They'll find out, I said finally. The medic looked at me like he already knew what that meant. The siren screamed louder as we turned into the hospital drive. Through the window, the city blurred glass towers fading into night. My phone kept buzzing in my bag. For a second, I thought maybe it was Mom calling, but when I finally glanced at the screen, it was another alert from the bank. Automatic transfer completed. $18,000 withdrawn. Then the world went dark again. The machines around my bed beeped like polite reminders that I was still here. A nurse with soft eyes leaned over to check the monitor. You've been asleep for a while, she said. 5 days. You're lucky your coworker found you. Her voice trembled a little when she added, We called your emergency contacts. But no one answered. My throat ached. You called my parents, Ryan and Tara Marlin. We left several messages. She hesitated. Would you like me to try again? I shook my head. No, don't bother. When she left, silence swelled in the room, the kind that fills the cracks between your ribs. I reached for my phone on the tray. Battery full. No missed calls. No messages. Then one notification. You've been tagged in a post by Chloe Marlin official. My hand trembled as I tapped it open. The screen brightened with sunlight. I didn't recognize a lake, picnic tables, wine glasses, my family smiling, Mom's hand on Dad's shoulder, Chloe in her perfect linen dress, Maya flashing peace signs. The Caption family day, no drama this time. The heart icon flickered beside it. Thousands of likes, comments praising their perfect bond. The monitor beside me began to beep faster. A nurse rushed in. Are you okay? Do you need something? I pressed my palm to my chest, forcing my voice steady. No, I said. I think I've had enough. When she left again, I turned the phone face down. My reflection stared back from the dark screen, pale, hollow, calm. Somewhere in that stillness, something inside me stopped reaching out. I listened to the quiet until even the machines sounded tired of trying to keep me alive. By the time they discharged me, the bruises from the IV tape outlasted the chest pain. The doctor told me to rest, but rest felt like another kind of punishment. At home, the apartment smelled of burnt coffee and old takeout. I scrolled through my messages, none from family. Just automated drafts transfer complete, payment confirmed. Thank you for your loyalty. I called my mother first. She answered on the third ring. Noelle, sweetie. We saw the hospital tag on your work email. Why didn't you tell us I tried? I said, 5 days ago. Well, you know how your father is with phones. We thought you just needed space. I waited. Nothing more came. You went to Lake Berryessa. I said, her voice sharpened. It was a family event. Chloe arranged it for her followers. You would have been invited if we'd known you were unwell. I was unconscious. Mom, she sighed, soft and practiced. Let's not make everything about guilt. You know Chloe's business depends on consistency. She can't disappoint sponsors. I hung up before I said something I'd regret. Messages from my father followed that night short. Clipped lines, mortgage due. Car lease past deadline. Can you cover? I typed one word no, then deleted it. Old habits are hard to bury. The next morning, Chloe called. Her voice sparkled through the speaker. Hey, sis, are you okay? You didn't comment on my post. I saw it. Good. Right. People loved it. Our engagement tripled. You posted it while I was in the hospital. Silence. Then, a nervous laugh. Oh, I didn't know that part. Anyway, listen. I'm launching a candle line next month. Could you help with the startup costs? Just $18,000? I'll pay you back this time. Something inside me finally exhaled. I think we're done, I said, and ended the call. For the first time in years, the line stayed quiet. A week later, my phone lit up with 83 missed calls and one message from Dad. We need you. Call now. Instead, I dialed a different number, one I hadn't used in years. Gabe Ellis. The voice answered, calm and unhurried. It's Noelle, I said. You were friends with my grandfather. He paused. I remember. He used to say you carried the family on your back. I dropped it. I whispered, I'll be there by noon, he said, and hung up. When the doorbell rang, I almost didn't answer. Gabe stood in the hallway, gray windbreaker zipped to the neck, thermos of coffee in hand. He looked like the kind of man who had seen too many mistakes and stopped judging them. They finally broke you. Huh, he said quietly. I nodded. He walked in without waiting to be invited, set the thermos on the counter, and scanned the room. Still working yourself to death. Not today. Good. Then you'll have time to listen. He pulled a small tablet from his bag. Before you start cutting cords, you need to know where they lead. I stared at him. You sound like my doctor. I'm cheaper, he said, half smiling. For the first time in days, the air felt breathable. Gabe didn't promise comfort. He offered a map out, and I was ready to follow. Gabe sat across from me at the kitchen table, his tablet glowing between us like a quiet confession booth. Let's start with your bank accounts, he said. I opened the app. The numbers stared back rows of transactions I'd never really looked at. Who's CM branding, he asked. Chloe's business, I said. She said it needed a boost. He scrolled. $18,000, recurring every quarter. My throat tightened. She promised to pay me back. They usually do. His tone wasn't cruel, just factual. Next, a payment popped up labeled Oregon Lease Services. That's Maya's apartment. I said, she's in school. He raised an eyebrow. Design school. Right. You've paid 12 months of rent, plus utilities, about $14,000 total. I rubbed my forehead. I didn't realize it added up like that. Gabe kept scrolling. Car lease for $620 a month under your name. Insurance linked to your address. And a second phone plan, Ryan Marlin. My dad, I whispered. Everything's connected to you. I stared at the tablet, at the endless deductions, small and constant like a slow bleed you don't notice until you're dizzy. Gabe leaned back. You thought it was love, he said. They thought it was obligation. Different math. The words landed harder than any accusation. He opened a new document and began typing. I'm listing every payment, every name, every auto transfer. When you shut them off, they'll notice. You'll feel guilty. Do it anyway. What do I call this file? I asked. He smiled faintly. Your exit plan. The cursor blinked beside the title Audit of Love. For the first time, I saw my family written out in numbers and none of them added up. The next morning, I called the bank from the kitchen table while Gabe poured coffee into 2 chipped mugs. This is Noelle Marlin. I said to the clerk, I need to cancel every automatic transfer on my account. She hesitated. All of them. Some have been active for years. All of them. I repeated. Today, Gabe watched, silent. As I read the list, Chloe's business account, Maya's rent, Mom's car lease, Dad's utilities. One by one, they vanished. Each click felt like oxygen returning to my lungs. When the final confirmation appeared, I ended the call and sat back. My hands were shaking. It's done. I said, Good. Gabe replied, Now wait for the fallout. It came faster than either of us expected. By noon, my phone began to vibrate texts, calls, voicemails. Mom, we just heard what happened. Why didn't you tell us, Maya? It's all a misunderstanding. Please call me. Dad, this is serious. You're ruining everything we built. I stared at the screen until the messages blurred. Answer them, Gabe said. No. He studied me for a long moment, feeling guilty, yet a little. I admitted. He folded his newspaper. That'll pass. Guilt's the tax good people pay before freedom. The phone buzzed again, lighting up the counter like a warning flare. I powered it off. The silence that followed wasn't peaceful. It was heavy, raw, alive. Gabe took a slow sip of coffee. You're breathing different, he said. I finally can. I told him. And it was true. By the end of the week, silence turned into spectacle. Gabe was reading the paper when I opened my phone and saw Chloe's face streaming live. She was crying in perfect lighting. My sister cut us off. She said, We're worried. She's unstable. We just want to help her. I could almost hear my mother coaching her off screen. The comments poured in prayers, sympathy, strangers calling me heartless. Let them talk, Gabe murmured. They need the noise more than you do. But that night, everything shifted. Someone online stitched Chloe's video beside her old post. Family day no drama this time. The caption read, So where was that concern when she was in the hospital by morning? Chloe's account was on fire. Sponsors pulled out. Followers turned. Headlines bloomed. Influencer exploits estranged sister for content. I sat across from Gabe, scrolling through the chaos. He said, You didn't lift a finger. I didn't have to. The phone buzzed again. Mom, Dad, Maya. Then a final text from Chloe. If you don't fix this, I'll lose everything. I typed one word. Good. Gabe chuckled quietly. Sometimes the truth does its own work. I closed the phone and set it aside. Outside, the late sunlight touched the edge of the table, warm and indifferent. For the first time, I didn't feel like the story everyone else was telling. I felt like the ending they couldn't rewrite. I drove to Eugene on a gray afternoon. Their house looked smaller than I remembered. Boxes stacked near the porch, blinds half drawn. Dad opened the door first. His shoulders slumped like he was waiting for someone to blame. Mom appeared behind him, voice already trembling. You came. Thank God. Maybe now we can fix this. There's nothing to fix, I said. She glanced around the living room, as if the walls could explain what she couldn't. The bank froze our account. Your father's credit cards were declined. Chloe's sponsorships are gone. You've made your point. My point, I said. I nearly died, and you were at a picnic. Dad's tone hardened. We thought you needed time. You can't expect I expected nothing. I cut in. That's the problem. He took a step forward. After everything we built, you'd let it all collapse. I looked at the boxes by the window. It already has. Mom's voice broke. Are you happy now? Seeing us like this, I met her eyes. For the first time, I don't feel guilty for surviving. She reached for me, but I stepped back. The air between us felt like glass, clear, sharp, unfixable. I turned, walked to the car, and didn't look back. 2 weeks later, Gabe slid an envelope across his table. You should see this. Inside was a copy of a legal filing stamped in bold emergency petition for temporary conservatorship. I skimmed the lines, my parents' signatures, claims of mental instability, requests for access to my finances. My name written like a diagnosis. They're trying to take control of you, Gabe said. Again. I laughed, a small, exhausted sound. They never learned to ask, only to claim. I already filed a countermotion. He said, the trust is sealed. Your doctor's note confirms your recovery. They don't stand a chance. The relief came slow, like thawing ice. So that's it. He nodded. That's it. A text arrived just then from Mom. This isn't what we wanted. Please call us. I showed it to Gabe. He shook his head. They'll never say sorry, only sorry they lost. I deleted the message. Then they'll lose quietly. He smiled. You finally sound like yourself. I folded the petition and slipped it back into the envelope. The paper felt lighter than it should have. When I set it down, I realized I no longer needed to defend my life to anyone, not even on paper. 3 weeks later, Gabe drove us north to a cabin near Lake Superior. The air smelled clean, stripped of noise. He unloaded 2 bags, then handed me a mug of coffee. Peace, he said. Takes getting used to. I smiled faintly. I think I can manage. We settled into a quiet rhythm. He read the paper by the window every morning. I worked a few remote hours for Solar Key. Nothing urgent, nothing endless. The world kept moving without demanding my breath. One afternoon, he looked up from his mug. You ever think about calling them no? I stared at the rippling lake. They wouldn't hear me anyway. He nodded, folding the paper. You did the hard thing. Most people never get there. The hard thing, walking away before you burn out completely. We didn't speak for a while. The silence felt full, not empty. That evening, my phone buzzed once, an unknown number, a voicemail I didn't open. Gabe noticed and said nothing. I powered the phone off and placed it in a drawer. He chuckled softly. You're learning. Finally. I said. Outside. The light dimmed over the water. The only sound left was the wind brushing the roof steady, patient, and mine. For the first time, I wasn't anyone's provider, savior, or excuse. Just Noelle. Alive. Whole. Free.